So, um, let's try and set a little bit of context here before we jump into this. Somebody in my comments said, play this game Psychopomp. And I thought, alright, let's go have a look. And the first thing I found was that there are a lot of games called Psychopomp on itch, where I was looking, itch.io. And so I said, do you mean this one by the developer Carbonic? And he said, yeah. So I have downloaded this game, which led to the second issue. I am on Linux, and this is a Windows game, but I'm running it through Wine, and it seems to be working, but I don't know if it's supposed to look exactly like this, the way it looks. So hopefully all of that works, but Wine is a little dodgy with certain graphics settings, but other than that, it seems to be working okay. The next issue is that this is quite a long and deep game. It calls itself a short game, but I've only played some of the way into the kind of the first level, as it were, and there still seems to be plenty going on, and I played for a while. So it's obviously not a short game. It is an interesting game, and well, let's jump in and we'll talk about it a bit. I'll try and give some critique as we're playing along, and I'm only going to play like the first sort of tutorial level, just so you can get a look of the game and a look of the feel for it. It's interesting. It's very retro, but retro in an unusual and an interesting way. So yeah, we can have a quick look at the credits, and there's just some localizations and things like that. And the game is by Finn Tangway. I assume how you pronounce that. Who is Carbonic for Fading Club Games. So yeah, it's quite well done, professional credits. So let's jump in, and we'll talk about how it works. Everyone everywhere has secrets. Did you know that everyone has special powers and they've kept it a secret from me my entire life? But I won't stand for that. That's why I made a helmet. I call it Machine That Lets Me Read People's Minds When I Want To, or Psychopomp for short. But something happened when I put it on. It didn't let me read people's minds, but it did let me see something else. A world that was hidden from me that everyone knew about. A world hidden in plain sight with all sorts of animals and creatures and dead bodies. There are catacombs hidden under every public government building. I will not allow any more secrets to be kept from me. So we seem to be a little maniacal and somewhat unhinged. I don't know if we started off unhinged, or this world that our helmet has revealed to us has made us unhinged. I don't know. Anyway, this is the game, and for some reason you have to take a few steps before it gives you the controls. You're in the world. Use the WASD keys to move and turn. Use the Q and E keys to strafe. Hold shift to sprint. So movement is entirely controlled by the WASD keys. We turn left. We press A to turn left. We can press Q to strafe left, and E to strafe left and right. But A and D is turning, and WASD is moving forwards and backwards. And honestly, I don't really like that, because I've grown up with a lot of first-person shooter games where A and D is just for strafing, and the mouse is used for looking, and I prefer that, but that is not the way this game has been designed. This is a rather more retro design, which is very cool and very, I suppose, nostalgic almost in a way to play, but it messes with my muscle memory, so this is not what I would have chosen. Anyway, so putting that aside, this is the world we find ourselves in. We are standing in water for some reason. If we hold down control, you can look with the mouse. You can sort of move that way, but it doesn't change the direction in which you move, right? So we do have some weirdnesses here. We were in this border off area with water in some kind of city, and I don't know what is going on there. I mean, that looks like the Earth covered in some kind of black umbra or something. Does this mean we're on the moon or another planet, or some totally different planet? Or is that supposed to be the moon, but it looks an awful lot like the Earth, I guess? I don't know. There's definitely weirdnesses happening here. Anyway, we can go and get some more help. Items are important to many things. To pick up an item, choose the touch mode of interaction and click on the item. So we can use the touch mode, and we can click on the item. And now we have it in our inventory, and our inventory tells us a few other things. It lets us turn the flashlight on and off. It lets us change languages if we want to change the language, but I'm sticking to English. And it lets us sort of turn the game into windowed mode. But I'm keeping it full screen for now. It also, we have hit points, 9 at the moment, and that this red thing goes down when we lose health. And we also have ST points, and I don't know what those are, and I don't know if we have 0 or 8. Like, it looks full, so it doesn't look like 0, but that's very weird. Psychological points, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, I haven't gotten far enough to actually use those just yet. Anyway, so now we have our key. We can move on a little bit further. Let's turn around here. Well, let's turn this way just to make sure that this is a dead end. And if we turn this way, we have what turns out to be a girl. And we are told you can talk to people and do many other things with them too, though they may lie to you in many ways. So, this helps us learn about our other controls. We can look at this person. The girl doesn't make you think anything one way or another. You feel like she's polite for being that way. Which is fine. We can talk to her. I can't take it. It's only going to get worse and worse. This is a nondescript girl who's very upset. We can touch her, though you shouldn't really touch strange people that you've only just met. Her hair is cold and rough, like hair would be on a night like tonight. You wonder how it tastes and have to hold back from finding out. So yeah, we're a little unstable. Now we can also hit things with a hammer. And you can hit her with a hammer, at which point she explodes into bits, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave her to her despairing and move on. And now we have a door. Some doors need to be opened with items. To use an item on something, open the inventory with the inventory button, then drag the item onto the door you want to use it on. So if we click on our inventory button, we can drag the key out onto the door, and the door opens. And we need to make the inventory go away. We have our weird Earth planet thing in the sky. Good work. Keep going. There's so much work to be done tonight. Remember, you can hold control to look around freely, getting a better look at things. So yeah, control just to look around, which is nice. Wow, no, that is the button I want. Now we can have a look, and this is some kind of strange dog with green stuff on his face. We can look at him. He turns to face us. It's a small white dog, might be feral, nothing else out of the ordinary. We can talk to him, and he goes woof. And we can give him a pet, and he licks our fingers. Yeah, and that's the dog. So we can leave him to it because he doesn't help us. And this is the end of this kind of tutorial level. It takes us through to the world map, where we can select a destination. We can also save and quit if we want. So I'm just going to go to the sewage treatment. I haven't really gone to any of the others yet, but we're not going to play too much more. I just want to show off the game. Gameplay tip: the world can be dangerous, be careful. Real world tip: public schools are required to have at least 50 teeth of mammalian origin embedded into their north-facing walls for structural and safety reasons. I am not sure about the real world tips. They seem to be different every time, so yeah. Anyway, so now we are in the sewage plant. It's very big and dark and dramatic. It's not hard to enter a public building. The buffoon who invented locks and windows has never heard of a hammer, so we understand how we got in. Although the door does seem to be unhammered. We can't go back through it in any way. We have a sort of a big lobby with doors that we can't go through on the sides, and this big kind of fountainy thing here in the middle. And strange moving lights, just for moving shadows. A big sort of wet area with stuff moving in it, and we talk about it a bit. Water treatment. Human waste being processed and cleaned. Made acceptable for consumption again. Chemicals being added to chemicals to remove chemicals. I mean, yes. If water treatment is for our safety and concern, why is there an elevator heading straight into the human waste? What could be hidden down there? You can go and have a look, see? I'm just going to strafe sideways. You can't actually just walk into the water, probably, fortunately. But there is an invisible wall that is preventing us from doing so. All we can do is head to this elevator, where we get a bit of a fright. And if it is such a big secret, why is it so easy to go down there? I'm not reading that because of monetization. So we can step through, get a bit of a fright as this thing suddenly grabs control and spins us around. And we head down looking fairly unsettlingly manic, which I do appreciate a lot. And here we are in the catacombs under the sewage plant, where there's all sorts of things to look at. Stone roof. There's just bars over there which you can't go through. Let's run a bit. And now we have an entity that we can look at. We can also go up here and have a look and see just what's going on. Oh, there is a stairs up there. And so on. And I'm going to stop there with this interesting view. That's a weird sort of plant thing that you can talk to, and if you touch him, he hurts us, and so on. And if you hit him with the hammer, he explodes into bits. And there's also other creatures that kind of run at us and do damage to us, and we have to hit them with the hammer or they kill us. And as you can see, the game is interesting and deep. So if you're just here to have seen the gameplay, well, this is it. It is a very kind of 90s, maybe even early 90s retro feel in both the controls and the graphics and things like that. I hope it's what the graphics are actually supposed to look like and not just wine doing its thing. Yeah, so if I've convinced you to come and give this game a go, you can get it from itch.io, you can get it from Steam, and there is the gold paid version on Steam. That might be better than this, I don't know. So yeah, you've got options there, but it is downloadable. You just download and run the executable. And that is Psychopomp. And if you're heading out, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. If you are staying just for the critique, there's a few things I have to talk about. The first is the UI. Like I said, I'm not too happy with the kind of 90s controls. I'm also not entirely happy with the way that not a lot of the world is interactable. Like if I went to those closed doors back at the beginning, and kind of looked at them or touched them, there was just no response. And if I tried to open a locked door with a key that doesn't fit that door, it doesn't say this key doesn't fit the door or anything like that. It just nothing happens. So I don't know if I'm doing it wrong, if I'm close enough or anything like that. So it does need more interactivity, more responsiveness in the world, so that not to, to make the world more interesting and more playable, but also to make it a bit easier for me to play, because I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if the game just is not allowing me to do something. So yeah, a lot more interaction and things like that would be a nice a nice addition to this in terms of the UI. And then of course the sound controls. There are no sound controls, no volume, no muting, just the music or anything like that. The music is fantastic. I like it a lot. It's very pleasant to listen to. But yeah, I like the ability to turn off if I want to. Although this one I don't particularly want to, but yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, so yeah, the sounds are great as they are. I have no issues with the sounds. Just sound controls would be nice. The art, as we've said, it's got this kind of retro 90s feel, dithered to give it some depth and quality, I assume. I hope that's not just me. It actually is how the game looks. I like it. It's nostalgic. It's interesting. I just wish the controls were different. But the art is great. The art's very interesting. We can go and have a look at this character and just kind of have a bit more. This character actually stands out rather oddly. It's not quite as dithered as the background. And we can have a look at them. The double stalk thing looks at you with all of its eyes. It seems to beckon you. If we talk to it, as the kawaii stalk. Oh, hello, aren't you a cute one? Say, isn't there nothing better than being tangled up? Would you like to be tangled up? And if we touch him, you try to touch the stalk thing, but it grabs your hand. You just barely manage to pull your hand free at the last moment. And it actually does a point of damage to us. If we look here, we're down to 8 instead of 9 now. So yeah. Be careful what you touch. We can also whack him with the hammer and it explodes into bits. I don't know. I don't feel like the idea of doing that. But yeah, that's it. You can see that we were talking about the art. It looks slightly out of place, but not enough to actually be bad. It's interesting. It stands out. I like it. So yeah. So in terms of my critiques, we've come to like the gameplay and the enjoyment / immersion elements, and my comment here really is that the game, I believe, is being deliberately surreal and kind of obscure, and that's fine as a game design, as a kind of a story design in terms of game writing, if it goes somewhere, if it's useful. If you start off in this and there like a reason is brought forward as to why, like it's part of your character development or something like that, if it's explained. But there are a lot of games where it's kind of weird or surreal or wacky or whatever, just because they think that makes the game interesting, and I really don't like that. I don't like the way it's like a cheap way to try and make a boring game a little bit more interesting, and it doesn't work. It just becomes, oh god, another one of those games kind of reaction. So be very, very careful with that. It's much better to build an established character and an established story to step into than to try and go, oh, you don't know what's going on, or isn't that weird, isn't that interesting, and then enter into a storyline that you could quite easily have built a solid, understandable start in, or have a very superficial reason why your character doesn't quite know what's going on. If there's no reason behind it, if there's no deeper meaning behind a surreal context or a wacky character or wacky events or something like that, just try not to. Make a game with a story that you think is boring, because people won't find it boring. People get associated, that they like the association with real life. They like being pulled into something that they understand. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my strongest critique here. Is I believe this game is going to go somewhere interesting, but it hasn't dragged me in as much as it could have, because it's a bit too wacky and it's a bit too ununderstandable, and I don't like it. It's making me wonder where it's going, and should I actually invest the amount of time and effort into following it. I think it is. I have a lot of confidence, a lot of faith in the way it's going, but I don't know. We'll have to find out. Nevertheless, I still recommend that you come and give this a download and give it a go. Or if you're feeling flush with money and you want to give the developer some support, grab the gold version on Steam. And try it out and leave the dev some positive feedback. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment on this video, because that helps me. It increases engagement for me, and it helps you because it teaches YouTube the sort of things that you want to see. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you give the game a go, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.